they can talk about some different things.
I don't know if I ever had a turning point to come into design. I think it was a very gradual thing, and I think that when we made the decision to start our own company, we thought long and hard about it. We had been together as a couple for 7 years before that, so that's a lot of dreaming and talking and planning and scheming and how are we going to make it happen. But yeah, I don't know if there was necessarily a turning point, but I think similar to what Reisa was saying about how we probably have a certain perspective or way of looking at a project, but I think because of our life experience before being designers, we're able to be a lot more open and a lot more receptive to the way that our clients want to live and work, and use their homes. And that's a big part of the way, it's a big part of our philosophy of how we do design, is that it's really client-centered. And what we get fulfillment out of at the end of a project is if a client is actually happier than what they had anticipated being at the beginning. And that's a super, super fun process to help the client learn about what they want and what they could have. And then oftentimes we'll even start a project and we'll have no idea where it's going to end up, and we'll never be able to envision what it will look like.
This is my favorite. I'm also a cyclist. I think, well, my turning point was it was definitely being shown Robert Bailey's office and seeing the workings of an interior design and architecture firm, and walking away from that. And Robert's just so inspiring and such an amazing person that I had to do it.
I think for anybody as well, what Chad and Kelly were saying, the more life experience you have, whether it's, and I would really encourage travel and exposure to a variety of experiences or a variety of jobs, and just all of that stuff, you can see it comes through. So I did a lot of traveling around the world prior as well, prior to that actually was what the library was really good for. I would work, and then they would give me a long leave, and I could go and do some extensive traveling. And I think just all that experience is really helpful when this is a very, obviously this is a completely visual career, so the more things that you can see and the more, a variety of experience that you can have, the more it will show through in the diversity of your work.
Great. Well, I think we'd like to open it up for some questions. You have some interior designers captive up here, so if you guys have anything you want to ask about making that leap or anything, now we can open it up for that.
Hi there. I just wanted to ask, did you ever doubt your decision after making the leap? So you kind of jumped into design, but your previous job was either more well-paying, more secure, or whatever. For whatever reason, did you ever doubt, I guess, your decision to make the leap?
Oh, that is such a good question, and the answer is hell yeah. I doubted it for a long time, especially when you have sometimes that are really tough and they're slow. And yeah, I was in a union. It was a well-paying job, and so you really have to go through that pain barrier. I wasn't as smart as these two in spending 7 years developing this idea. I just kind of ended up there. So depending on how you go about starting, if you are going to do it their way, you may have less of that feeling. If you're going to do it my way, you're probably going to have that every day for a long time. So it really depends what you're willing to go through.
I don't think I ever doubted starting the company or starting the previous company that I had, but I've doubted myself as a designer, and that just makes me want to be better. So it just makes me move ahead and be better at what I want to do.
just to follow up, okay, I'm totally blanking out now. Sorry, I just had an idea. I'm just totally blanking out now. Sorry.
I think for myself, I didn't, because I spent so much time thinking about how I was going to do it. Once I made the decision, I just leapt in, and when we started, we really pushed to start. It was totally different than what I thought it was going to be, but we've finally gotten to that point where we're having a lot of fun working on the projects that we're doing and being challenged with the different things and figuring out how to learn, and that's probably been the best part.
My question is about education, a couple of components of that. One would be, is there a school here that you recommend mostly? I know that BCIT is very highly regarded. That would be one question, whether if you were able to go full-time. But then if you aren't able to attend classes and need to do online, is there a way to get education that way that is actually recognized in this field?
There's a long answer to that question, because education is more about what you get out of it, or what you as a student put into it. And when I was teaching in Lithuania, I was teaching a business class to people who wanted to be philosophers, and it was a required class. But because they were coming out of a Soviet system, and education and all of these opportunities were so new, they all put 120% into it, and I've never experienced the kind of effort that students put into it there, because it was so rare. Education was a scarce thing, and people who were there were really, really lucky. We don't have that environment here, because education is just kind of like a commodity. It's like everybody, of course you can go and take classes and kind of pass and kind of show up. But if you're somebody who's making a career change, it really doesn't matter where you take your classes. You'll probably get more out of it than somebody who thinks that their education almost takes it for granted. In Vancouver, I think there's a lot of great schools. I think they all have challenges, but when we see portfolios from different students coming from all the different schools, the ones that stand out are not so much based on the program or the instructor, but they're based on the personality of the student. So the really bright students who are articulate and who have been really diligent about keeping track of what they do, and who've been doing a lot of side projects along with their schooling, those are the people that we want to hire.
And I would suggest researching what type of schooling you feel suits you best. For some people, it's going to be really trying to fast track it and doing a very express sort of program, and somebody else, there's 4-year degree programs out there, and so it's going to speak to different people at different times in their life, and so there's we're fortunate enough to have just such a different types of schooling and programs out there, and with a whole variety of costs attached to them. And your note about if you are having to work, there is even a lot of part-time and night courses that you can do, and I think like Chad was saying, it's just really I think it's just really what you put into it, and that will come through, and that if you're just really determined to make this happen, it doesn't mean that you have to immerse yourself full-time if that's not if you're not able to do that, but it will still happen.
There's a lot of different things that you can do with an interior design degree or interior design career. So ask yourself, do you want to work in a big firm or a small firm? For us, it's just the two of us. If you want to work in a big firm, a formal education and a degree is probably a lot more important. And then the same thing if you want to work in private homes, or if you want to do more commercial work, it's a different type of education and a different type of knowledge that you have to have in order to be successful